Irshad Manji's groundbreaking book, The Trouble with Islam, made her one of the most admired and most reviled writers and thinkers around the world. As a voice who refuses to be silenced, her strength lies in her seeming mastery of moral courage. She's a woman who has had many labels thrown at her, and she refuses to wear just one of them: refugee, Muslim, lesbian, professor, and also from some heretic. Well, she joins us now to talk about her new book, which has just come out, called Don't Label Me, an incredible conversation for divided times. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Right back at you. Thank you, Jack.
There's so much I want to talk to you about, but let's start with labels. Right? Why do you think that we as a society find labels so seductive?
Oh, Jack, it's not just we as a society, it's humanity. We human beings think, first and foremost, emotionally. And biologically speaking, the easiest emotion to have is fear. Now, top that up with the fact that we are all immersed in digital technologies that are deliberately designed to amp up our emotions. And then finish it all off with the fact that very few of us have ever been taught to sort of be aware of our emotions, let alone express them constructively. So in this toxic cauldron, labels become convenient tools with which to sort of indulge our emotions and avoid reflection.
And you talk about some of these ways. I'm going to get to them in a moment. We talk about an incredible conversation because it's also a very unique conversation that you're having. Something that was very special to you. Lily, your dog, no longer with us.
No.
But a conversation throughout this. And I've heard you talk about the fact that it's what helped to stimulate the idea behind that.
Absolutely.
How?
So, you know, I just mentioned the most dangerous four-letter F word in the English language, and that is fear. Exactly. Well, believe it or not, I grew up with a very unhealthy fear of dogs. One year, I was having a particularly tough time with my health, and my then partner, now wife, Laura, said to me, Irshad, you have got to evolve. You've got to get past your fear. Let's adopt a rescue dog, and you'll see what a healer that dog can be. Well, how can I possibly teach moral courage if I'm not willing to go first? And so we brought Lily home, and Jack, all I can tell you is that for the 2 precious years that I had with her, I learned not only were my own fears of dogs begging to be overcome, but when I did overcome those fears, I learned so much from Lily. The value, for example, of just getting out of our devices, closing up the laptop, and getting into the grass and playing. Yes, I know, for animal lovers, that's a no-brainer. But understand that today we are all doing this. And, you know, if we could just realize that by slowing down, taking a deep breath, actually what we wind up doing is transcending the fear-based part of the brain. So that even when we're engaging somebody we disagree with, the first thing to do and the best thing to do is to just breathe. Who knew? So simple. Thank you, Lily.
Yeah, for Lily.
Yeah.
We talked about the notion of labels. You mentioned the concept of tribalism. We're kind of hardwired for that. And you look at that in the ways it manifests itself. And you and I were talking about this beforehand, and I was talking about how people don't have conversations anymore. It's as if we're fearful of somebody rejecting our opinions.
That's right.
We don't want to accept their opinions.
Right.
How much of this do you think flows from what we see, and I'm going to talk about both parties in Washington.
You bet.
You cannot have now a disagreement politically without vilifying the person you're disagreeing. You know, it's been described often as the politics of personal destruction.
Right, right.
Has that always been, or has it become more enhanced lately?
Yeah, well, I'm going to guess that you would agree with me that it has become more enhanced lately. We've been living with the politics of personal destruction, and I believe that was Bill Clinton's phrase from way back when.
Correct.
We've been living with that for a long time, but if you're wondering why it's become even worse now, I would say that social media and the impulsive triggers that it feeds to us has made things that much worse, which is why, and I think this is where you were going, let's get our heads out of that monitor or that screen
Right.
and actually speak with one another face to face. You know what, Jack? I tell a story in this book about two young people, one a biracial hip hop artist, the other a white guy. Both of them completely disagree about what should happen with the Mississippi state flag, okay, because it, contains some Confederate era symbolism.
In the corner has the Confederate flag as part of the
Exactly.
state flag.
She wants it to change. He doesn't. Something that she says and does goes viral. He gets in touch with her. She invites him to the backyard to sit down and talk. Let's discuss this. By the end of that experience, it's not that he changes his mind. That would be too easy a conclusion. No, it's that he realizes that he cares more about her than he does about the flag. That is what human-to-human relationships or human-to-Lily relationships can do for
But
us.
how do we get ourselves away from? And again, I think this is something that you say is sort of human nature. We like to be surrounded by like-minded people.
Yeah.
We like to be surrounded by people who sound like us,
Yeah.
who think like
Who look
us,
like us.
who look like us. So how do we get ourselves to a different place, even though that is all reinforced by, you look at the news and people talk about there are a lot of venues out there that just have an agenda and they're beating the drum.
That's right.
Look, opinion has always been an integral part of journalism.
Yep.
But what troubles me is we're seeing more of opinion and less of fact, less discussion.
Yeah.
And so how do we get people to remove themselves from the echo chambers and to be willing to sit and listen? Might not change their mind.
Right.
But
And that's okay.
at least they'll be willing to listen.
Exactly.
How do we do that?
How do we do that? Well, first of all, it begins with every single one of us. In other words, instead of pointing fingers at so-and-so because he doesn't listen to me, ask yourself, how am I contributing to this problem? Meaning, if I'm eye-rolling, if I'm berating instead of relating, if I'm labeling this person, then I have fixed him in place. I have frozen him in time. What motivation have I given that other person to then lower his emotional defenses so that he can hear me? So here's what I say. When you are entering a conversation or wanting to enter into a conversation with somebody who profoundly disagrees with you on something that you are passionate about, ask them, tell me, what am I missing about your perspective? Don't go in making statements. Ask sincere questions. And then listen. Listen to understand, not to win.
It's just, once again, a very provocative, thoughtful, and I think extraordinarily helpful look. So our thanks to you and to Lily.
I was just going to say, just heard from Lily. She
Yes.
gives her thanks right back.
All right, thanks. Thank you so much. You be well. We'll talk soon.